Okay, here we go. It's time to take on the final 2 episodes of Soul Calibur 5. So yes, this is the last part of the story of Soul Calibur 5. Seriously, this is how short it is, and this is meant to be kind of a big AAA game. It's unfortunate when that happens. It really is.
Let's go back home when this battle is over, and take back the 17 years that we've lost. You are no longer alone. We are a family, so let's go home together. Pyrrha.
Patroclus. He needs souls. Many souls. He needs human souls! So please, give me your soul.
Yeah, Pyrrha's gonna be crazy.
Patroclus?
She won't be able to return to herself as long as she holds Soul Edge. I can't hesitate. I have to do this. I'm the only one that can save her.
And so we must face down Pyrrha Omega again. Not much different than last time, just a bit harder. And one thing that I haven't brought up is the whole Alpha Patroclus and Pyrrha Omega. Obviously, Alpha is the first letter of the Greek alphabet and it means beginning, and Omega is the last letter of the Greek alphabet and means ending. So it's all meant to kind of symbolise the fact that Patroclus is on kind of the side of Soul Calibur with the beginning and creation, and Pyrrha's on the side of Soul Edge, Omega, destruction, and so on. An interesting thing to note, though, is that Alpha in Alpha Patroclus' name is lowercase, whereas the Omega in Pyrrha's Omega's name is capitalised. There's no kind of real reason for that. It's just kind of maybe they went for it just because it looked better. Don't really know. It's just the way it works, really.
I'll carve my own fate.
KO. The battle 3. White.
Now, as I said before, this fight isn't that bad, especially in comparison to the fight with Nightmare and Z.W.E.I in episode 18, because that was not good. At least kind of Pyrrha does have kind of weak points in her. Also, I always love ending on a critical edge. That's always fun. Takes me back to the days of the critical finish. Which makes me kind of sound like I've got a bit of a nostalgia hard on for Soul Calibur 4. I don't particularly, but I definitely do prefer that to Soul Calibur 5, even though Soul Calibur 5 is much prettier. I just prefer kind of the way Soul Calibur 4 was constructed, if anything. Probably would have preferred some of the earlier Soul Caliburs, because I think they had better first single player modes than what Soul Calibur 4 had.
What? Why? Damn it, I won't let you!
Oh, it's never bloomin' easy, is it? Now, clearly, this freezing of Patroclus in the crystal, you've probably seen something similar to it before in Soul Calibur 4, where numerous characters kind of got frozen after killing Nightmare in their endings. But it kind of reminds me of, well, potentially inspired somewhat the freezing of General Zod in Man of Steel. Probably not in the slightest, but my brain is making that connection.
Patroclus? No! No! No!
You are no longer alone. We are a family, so let's go home together.
It's my fault. It's because I didn't do anything. I just accepted everything as my fate, and didn't even try to fight against Tira or Soul Edge. I've been such a fool about all of this. I don't care what happens to me. You can do whatever you want, but please, bring back Patroclus. I wish I could have heard you say my name just one last time. I can do this. Patroclus, I'm sorry for being weak. I'm sorry for not being able to forgive you. But now I know that we were both weak and lacking. Now that I've realized that, I can forgive you. So please come back to me. Return to me. Patroclus! Return to me. Patroclus!
What? Mother?
You disappoint me. I shall have to do this myself. I will destroy Soul Edge along with its wielder. I only require your body.
You are not our mother. She would never divide her children and make us fight each other.
I'm sorry for not being able to forgive you.
Who are you? Answer me!
I am no one. You humans call me the Spirit Sword, Soul Calibur. And the one that created this form is you, Patroclus.
I needed my mother's guidance in the past. but you can't blindly follow another. That's not what being alive means. I will follow the path that I deem to be right.
Your will is of no consequence. Your body, your being will be under my control.
And so we begin our final boss battle. It's essentially what it is. With Elysium. No. Elysium is voiced by Deanne Holmby, who also voices Sophitia in earlier games.
Obey my every wish.
Battle 1. Fight.
Now, she's very hard to fend off. She's very quick and very powerful, so do watch out. Now, in Cassandra's ending in Soul Calibur 4, you can hear a female voice, which is Soul Calibur, the Spirit Sword, which sounds almost identical to Elysium's voice here, so it's possible that that voice is Elysium's. Also, while she's mimicking Pyrrha Omega, which is what she's doing here, because Elysium is a mimic character when used outside of the story mode, she uses some of Sophitia's moves. She's also the only mimic character to have her own critical edge. Also, her theme, which is Sacred Dawn, which is playing now, has two different versions. The normal one, and a version without the orchestra in the intro. So it starts with the choir and then goes into the orchestra. And that version is only heard here in the story mode, and it isn't on the OST. Also, this is one of the only stages to have multi-tiered fight. Also, the name Elysium comes from the Greek afterlife of bliss, because you've got the Elysian fields, which are part of the underworld, where those chosen by the gods, the righteous or heroic, would live happily for all eternity. And it stood in opposition to Inferno. But then Inferno is Latin and Elysium is taken from the Greek Elysion Paidion. So, I mean, traditionally the opposing counterpart of Inferno is Paradiso, as you should know from Bayonetta, while the opposing counterpart of the Elysian Fields is Tartarus. It's the Pit of Tartarus. I believe Inferno was a boss in one of the earlier Soul Calibur games. But yes, I wasn't able to beat Elysium on normal when I first faced her. But I did it this time! I'm so proud of myself! And I beat her on a ring out. Just wonderful.
I do not understand.
And so we've beaten the story mode of Soul Calibur 5. Oh yes.
Return to me, Patroclus!
Goodbye, Mother. It's my fault. It was all because I was weak.
No. I was wrong too.
We don't need something like this to find happiness.
Let's end this once and for all. The two of us can do it.
We've made so many mistakes, and we must make amends for the rest of our lives. But for now, let's go back home.
Yes. Our lives truly begin now.
And that's the end of Soul Calibur 5. Now I will go through my final thoughts on the game very soon, but I just want to let you listen to the rest of this absolutely wonderful song, because I think it is just an absolutely stunning piece of music, along with the rest of the Soul Calibur 5 soundtrack. So, I'll speak in a minute. Okay, so now it's time to kind of detail my final thoughts on Soul Calibur 5's story mode, and the game as a whole, really. I still find this story mode to be a guilty pleasure. Yes, it's anemic. Yes, it's far too short and nothing like it should have been. It was rushed out before it should have been. But even then, I think the game still has enough, well, the story still has enough heart in it that I still do quite like it. And I mean, just even though that ending kind of bit is so corny and so cheesy, it's just wonderful, really. Particularly the final cutscene. I think it closes off the story very nicely, even if we still have so many unanswered questions left. Also, I just love that song. It's simply stunning. I mean, I think it's called The Breeze at Dawn, but I wouldn't quote me on that until it actually physically does appear in the credits, because I believe it is mentioned. But yeah, other than kind of the story has its problems, as you can tell. The gameplay has its problems. Basically, they should have never rushed this game out, as they have done. because it just wasn't kind of worth it, really, because the game is worse off for it. Because the single-player campaign is so short, there's not really any other reason to stick with the game. Which is very disappointing. Because there was such potential in this story. Particularly because it looks like they were going to have everything kind of fit in together, so that each character would have their own bit, and to be perfectly honest, it probably would have been more successful than, well, it probably would have been better than some of the other fighting game franchises' stories out there. Because there does seem to have been a lot of thought put into the story, it just, none of it was able to be acted upon. Which is just really unfortunate. So even though this game is not perfect, it's very, very far from perfect, the story at least will always have a little special place in my heart. Just because it's quite awesome. Okay, it doesn't have a name, it's just the Soul Calibur 5 ending theme. Very original title, I have to say. And so, I think that's about everything that I can say about Soul Calibur 5. So I hope you join me next time for the single extras video that I have. And I hope you all join me in the next playthrough or walkthrough. So, I hope you've enjoyed Soul Calibur 5. I'll see you then.
Soul Calibur 5.